So Autodesk just released some updates to Fusion, and one of the new things is Parametric Text. So let's take a look at what it is and what it can do. So like mentioned in the intro, Autodesk has added Parametric Text into Fusion. So in this video, I'm going to show some examples of what it can do and where you might be able to use it. So in this first example, I just have a wooden board with some text already on it. And I'm going to go into my change parameters, and you'll notice I have a parameter called length and a parameter called width, and currently they're set to 24 and 8. So if I were to change these to like 12 and 6, you'll notice that the text automatically updated on that board. And that is what parametric text allows you to do. So let me dive into this. If we were to edit this text in Fusion, you'll notice it comes up with this parametric text dialog, and it's warning you, or informing you, I should say, that there is a difference now. And we're going to kind of walk through this and highlight this. The key thing is, if you want to create plain text, it needs to be wrapped in single quotes, and we'll talk about that. And then you can also string together existing text parameters. So you would add a plus between them. And they give an example here, or a couple of examples. So if you just wanted regular text, you would put single quote and then like hello world, single quote. And then it would create just standard text. But then you could also do with, parameters. So you could string together hello world plus and then some parameter. And that's what I did here. And again, I'll show this in just a second. Now, this will come up every single time you create text. Once you understand that, you could come in here and say, don't show this again. But now you'll notice I've clicked on this text, and you can see in the text field in single quotes, it says size equals single quote plus, and then the variable length, or the parameter, I should say, length. So then it's grabbing the parameter of length and putting it in there, plus single quote x single quote, so it's adding in that x in there, plus width, and so then it's adding in the width. So basically size is equal to length, x, and width. So that is what you can do with the text. So let me finish this sketch, and let's just go into a brand new sketch right here. I'm going to create some text. And once again, like I said, this is going to come up each time until I say don't show this again. I'm going to leave it up just as a reminder. And then I'm going to place my text wherever I want it to be. And you'll notice by default, it comes up with the two single quotes, and the cursor bar is in between those two single quotes. So if I type in hello world, like so, this is just regular text, okay? No parameters, no nothing. And it's inside these single quotes. And that's really important, because I already saw a post out on the forum where somebody said they typed in, whatever they wanted to say, and you'll notice already it's in red. And the OK button doesn't work and all that kind of stuff. And they're like, Fusion has a bug, it doesn't work anymore, they ruined it, blah, blah, blah. No, it's been changed. And if you want regular text, it has to be enclosed in single quotes. And you'll notice it's no longer red, and we now have that text. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move that over here. Now let's go ahead and create some parameters. So I'm going to come into change parameters, and let's just add in length, and we'll set this to inches, and we'll just make that 12. I can create another parameter called width. Same thing, set that to inches, and let's just make that 6. I'll say okay. Now I could come in and create some text, like so, and I'll say, size is equal to, Then I'm going to jump outside of that single quote and I'll say plus. And you'll notice the text is turned red because it's not fully complete now. But if I start typing in length, there's the length. And you can see how it filled that in already. And that's a valid variable. So we could say okay and be done. If I come in here and say plus width, it's going to basically just look like this: 12 in, no space, 6 in, right? So I'm going to come back in here and type in the single quote, X single quote, and you'll notice that it's not happy with that. So I need to add in a plus in front of that. So you're basically adding in pluses in front of each thing you want to add into your string. So we have size, then we're adding in the length, then we're adding in some more text, then we're adding in the width. Okay, so just keep that in mind. If you type this in and you're like, why is it red? Just go ahead and put a plus in front of that, and now you can see that that works. Everything else is pretty much the same, or you can make it bold and change the height, make it centered, etc., etc. So I'll go ahead and do that. Now, what's cool about this is you can use any variable, any parameter that you want. So check this out. I'm going to create a parameter called random number, random num, okay? And it's going to be no units. And what's the expression? I'm going to start typing in random, or R, and you can see it says random function. And you'll notice it returns a value of like 0.77, something like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and say okay. And you can see even that's a different number than what it was showing previously. Okay, so we've ended up with a random number, and I want it to be like a whole number. So let's go ahead and edit this expression. And I'm going to put this in quotes or parentheses like so, and add in round. So I want that to be a round number. I'll say okay, and you'll notice it rounded that to 0. Well, what you can do is you can add in like a multiplier. So I'm going to say times 100, and now you can see that that brought it up to like 56. If I made that 100 be like 1,000, it's going to be a 3-digit number, which is kind of weird. It's the number of zeros. So now we're at 603. So with that said, what I can do now is create some text, and let's go ahead and just put some text over here. And let's say we're creating we're creating some laser cut keychains or something like that we want some random numbers for like race numbers or something like that. I don't know, I'm making something up here. So I'm just going to say race number, and then I'll say plus, and then random number. Okay. And you'll notice it changed it as soon as I hit enter. Now we can't pattern text, but I can go ahead and copy and paste. I'm just going to move this up a little bit and say okay, and you'll notice that number changed. I'll go ahead and paste that again, say okay, and that number changed. And so you can see how using the parametric text, we're able to create these random numbers for these laser cut keychains that are going to be given out or something like that. I could also come into the change parameters and make this double digits like so. Say okay, we got a 0 in there, that's okay. Let's go ahead and copy and paste again, and you'll see that we'll get totally random numbers through here. So you can do some pretty cool stuff with that. let's take a look at another example here. I want to create a 3D printed nameplate. And this is kind of like the base that I want to print out, but then I want like some embossed text. And you can use the parametric text even with configurations. So I'm going to create a sketch on this angled face. We'll create some text really quick. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn this off now that I kind of understand exactly what this looks like. And I'm just going to reference like that corner there and maybe this corner here. I'll do centered and centered. And for, actually before I do my text, I need to create a variable. So let's go ahead and create a parameter and I'll call it name. We'll give it text and we'll just give the default expression my name for now. I'll say Brad. I'll say okay. Now when I create some text, I'll go ahead and reference that corner and maybe this corner here. Make sure it's centered and centered. And for the text, I'm going to get rid of that and replace it with name. Okay, and you'll notice it's referencing name, so it's putting whatever variable that is. Let's go ahead and make that a little bit larger. Let's try 0.5. Let's try 0.75. Okay, let's do that. And I'll say okay. Now I can use this to emboss. Sketch profile is that. My face will be that. That looks pretty good. Let's just do maybe 0.8 in this case. Say okay. So that's what my 3D printed nameplate's going to look like. Well, now I want to create a bunch of different ones. So let's create a configuration of this. So I bring up my configuration table and I will add in a parameter of name. And now you'll notice that I have this parameter of name in here. And so I could add in a couple different configurations. So let's say I want a company name. So I'll type in CAD Ed, like so. And now if I click on that configuration, you'll see that that will update. For this configuration, we could maybe change the name to Fusion. And now we have a nameplate for Fusion. And I just really quickly have 3 different nameplates using that text parameter with a configuration. So hopefully this gives you some ideas of what you could use the new text parameter for. Give it a try and see what you think. I hope you learned something new and enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe to be notified of upcoming videos. If you need help learning Fusion, visit my webpage at cadedllc.com. And as always, have fun learning Fusion.